April Showers, and I am back. And welcome all. So, we are back at it. We took our break, so we're back at it with our live. As you come in, please like the video. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe. All right, so we are just following the closing arguments. Prosecution is still doing their closing. And I wanted to just clarify something first that I said in the earlier live, just to clarify this because this is so important. A lot of us are doing this. We're gathering information from what people are giving to us, and by the time it gets to someone else, it could mean a whole different thing. So let me just clarify something that I said earlier. So I think I said something to the effects, or I may have gave someone the impression that the feds have dropped the biggest charges. I think I actually said the biggest charges. That's not true. So what they did, they dropped the so-called attempted, so just the attempted ones, which I don't understand how they could have charged him with attempted arson and then arson. It just doesn't make sense. But so they dropped the attempted ones. Weird. Okay, attempted sex trafficking, attempted arson. So that's what's been dropped, not the actual crimes. Now, or charges. Charges, because in order to, yeah, because remember now, Diddy is innocent until proven guilty. So they do have to prove that he's guilty, which in my opinion, again, I don't think that they've done so, not based on the charges that he's facing. So I just wanted to clarify that because, boy, I'm telling you, how I received the information was just how I said it earlier. So I was thinking that they actually, okay, they went, which did make sense. I was like, well, how can they drop charges after 6 weeks of testimony, and then you turn around and drop charges right before the closing arguments? Even though they made changes, even though they took out the attempted charges, I don't think that was even right. I don't see how you can go 6 weeks with testimony and then decide, oh no, this is going to confuse a jury or whatever reason, and you just take out charges. It's just crazy to me. Hey, Jacob, Paul. What's up, Matthew? You're from Bangladesh? Cool. What's up, Jacob? HM3, what's up? Missy, what's up? So yeah, are y'all following the trial? Thank you. Are y'all following the trial? I'm from the United States. What's up? Hey, Paresh, how you doing? Jacob. All right, so yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that if anyone heard me say that about some charges have been dropped, that is just not true. Thank you for subbing, HM3. I appreciate it. And Shakita, what's up? Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's what's going on. So I wanted to clarify that. So again, prosecution, they're still doing their thing. And thank you for your wedding. You're getting married, Paul? Congratulations. Okay, that's nice to hear. I live in Georgia. All right, so what's up? Hey, Viral. All right, so, all right, and this chat is for 18 years or older, as we all know. All right, so, prosecution is still doing their closing. Basically, they're just kind of, you know, closing is supposed to be the to the last bit of it. This is the last impression that you give to the jurors before they deliberate. Is prosecution like wowing us? No, in my opinion, no, they're not wowing us. I didn't think they wowed us through the whole trial, to be honest. And I'm just gonna say something. You know, I have to give my opinion. Listen, as consensual adults, okay, when we make choices, whether it's good or bad, you know, we all make mistakes. We all have made some bad choices in our lives, but we cannot go back and sue folks and blame, or go back and blame somebody else for our choices, our bad choices. We just can't do that. That's just not how life works. So you just learn from your mistakes and you move on and you do better, you know, the next time. You know better, right? You learn, you know better, you move on. But this trial has been like, yes, I am married. So this trial has been like some sort of, like, listening to Cassie, I'm like, okay, so you made a bad choice of judgment with the person that you're with. You it seemed like you never were, really was truly never happy in the relationship, because you thought that he was putting his children's mom before you. She was the one that he took to the, you know, important things, and you know, you were the side, you felt like you were the side piece because he did, you know, you and him were the ones in the freak offs, as you call it, all these different things. You talked bad about Kim Porter. I'm talking about Cassie. She talked bad about Kim Porter's skin complexion. She said she's dark skinned, and she said she talked about her age. She said she has an old vagina. That came out in the courtroom in the text. So she was clearly very, very jealous of Kim Porter. Now, so we know that. So she was jealous. Now, if you are being forced to be in a relationship, or being forced to do things that you don't want to do, are you going to be jealous of someone else getting that attention from that person? No, you will despise the person. You will want to get away. And the first chance that someone comes and takes that position from you, you're going to be happy because now you can leave. That's not the case. She stayed in this relationship for a long time. Hey, AI with stories. So you're from India? Cool. Welcome to the channel. I really appreciate you all being here watching. And you're welcome to chime in. Like I said earlier, you know, all opinions are welcome. So I know some of us, we're like gun-ho with these. We're like, okay, no, this is crazy. You know, we've seen worse with this Puffy trial. And then some of us, on the other hand, we're like, Puffy should be under the prison. So all opinions are welcome. We're just gathering the facts, and you know, it's really in the jurors' hands at this point. It really is. Of course, now closing, which closing hasn't started yet for the defense, for Puffy's attorneys. I cannot wait to hear them start. I want to know who's going to do the closing. I hope. I don't know, because now Brian Steele is my favorite. He's my favorite on that team. But Brian Steele, when you do your closing, you want the most passionate sounding person, because you have to encourage, you have to influence, right, the jurors. Can y'all hear me okay? Let me see. I just want to make sure, but yeah, you want to be influential. You want to sound passionate about what you're telling these jurors, because you're trying to persuade them. And Brian Steele, because he's so like, he hardly smiled, you know, he's not very persuasive. Now, he's smart, he's a good attorney, great attorney, but I don't know if I'd want him to do the closing. I'd probably want a female who's a little bit more emotional with her words. You know, we tend to get a little more emotional, you know what I'm saying? If you all don't mind, if you don't mind, just click the like, hit the like, double tap the screen, if you will. I really appreciate that. So yeah, let me make sure that y'all can hear me. Okay, you can. Y'all can hear me. Yep. All right. So all right, so that's what I wanted to say. And back to what I was saying about the choices and all these folks, the assistants that were doing things that they claimed they didn't want to do, and he made them do this, and oh, I was forced. However, these relationships, whether you were an assistant, whether you were a girlfriend, side chick, whatever you were, you stayed in this relationship for, in most cases, years. So you can't just turn around and accuse someone of and say that they forced you to do something just because you made bad decisions and bad choices and you regret them later in life. That's just not how it goes. Yep. All right, so does anybody have anything to add so far to how the closing arguments are going with prosecution? Anybody have anything to add about it? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to see where they are. Now, the prosecution has been doing their closing all day pretty much. All right, so let's see. So now they're discussing counts 3 and 5. Okay, these are the 2 counts of interstate transportation for prostitution in connection to freak offs, hotel nights with Cassie Ventura and Jane. And by the way, do y'all know that they still have bathhouses in New York? Did anybody know that? They may not call them bathhouses, but they still have those in New York. People acting like they're so surprised at this behavior of buying, you know. Yeesh. So to convict him of these 2 counts, the jury must find that Combs knowingly transported a person in interstate and foreign commerce. Oh my goodness, that he intended that the person would engage in an act of prostitution. So are they referring to when Cassie went and bought the escorts for her and Diddy? We know that that's, but she didn't, okay, if you listen to when Chocolate Thunder testified, Chocolate Thunder said that Cassie told him that he was being hired to do role playing. So that's really not, I don't think that's not what they're talking about. Like if you go and hire an escort or whoever to come to your hotel and act like they're whatever, role playing, that's not considered sex trafficking. And then of course, like, now prostitution, that's completely different. That's different. But these are the federal charges of the sex trafficking is what we're talking about. All right, so Combs paid for male escorts to travel for sexual encounters with Ventura and Jane, and often personally organized the logistics with the escorts. It seems like they turned nothing into something. So there's so many people that should be federally charged with sex trafficking if this is the case. Super Bowl halftime. Hint, hint. Yeah. Slavic reminded the jury that Combs paid for escorts to fly to New York, Miami. These were his personal encounters. Now, remember, Jane testified New York, Miami, Los Angeles. That's where she would meet him to do the stuff, to do their little private sessions, whatever. So this is okay. And how about that? And Prosecutor encouraged the jury to look at the records if they want more examples when Combs violated the law, but showed the panel specific records that documented that Combs organized and paid an escort named Jules to fly to New York City in August 2009. 2009. This reminds me of Bill Cosby's trial. Do you remember when they were talking about the year that some of those so-called victims, they were actually like old women now, and just hearing the years of some of those situations was just funny. I'm looking at like 2009. It's 2025. How do y'all even remember such details from then? That's crazy. I am April Showers, AI with story. Thank you. I am April Showers. All right. So, ooh. So Jules was the one that was at the so-called freak off during that hotel thing that we saw with our own eyes when Puffy, uh, you know, abused Cassie in the hallway. So the escort, because you did hear that there was an escort or stripper, whatever they call it. They call it, what are they calling him? Yeah, escort. So we did hear that there was an escort in the room because they were in the middle of a freak off at that time. And I think that they said, I think Cassie had testified that she had fallen asleep at the time, or he had fallen asleep, and that's how she was able to escape. And escape, I'm not going to use that word, but that's how she was able to leave the situation. And who knows? We don't know what happened behind closed doors. We do know what we did see. We saw some domestic violence for sure, which was really, really wrong. We did see that. So if anything, Puffy, you need your butt kicked for being abusive. But I'm going to tell you right now, us black people, and I know it's not a black thing at all, but some of us, we get into, like, some of us get, we touch this, we touch money, and we get into these high positions and stuff, and some of us don't know how to act. And Puffy's ass did not, he lost all sense of reality. This man did not know how to act. He stopped knowing that you're equal to the next person, but he was treating everybody around him like they were little crumbs. So he is wrong for that, but that is not a federal crime. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just like I said earlier, when Jane testified, or not Jane, but one of the female assistants testified that she was working for him, and she would like do work for him while he was in the commode, like using the bathroom. Like while he was taking a poop, she'd be in there discussing business with him. Like, so yeah, Puffy just the power went to his head. The power went to his head. And it's I could see how that happened because he was one of the youngest, probably youngest, record label successful record companies that came out at that time. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't Bad Boy Records. If you think about it, that was like the first that big successful label. It wasn't a Sony. Sony was major. It wasn't really a major label. So him to bring Bad Boy to that type of success in such a short time, like, he did a big thing. We have to give him his props. He did an amazing thing, and it just all went to his head. And they keep saying, now Cassie already testified. She testified that she went and picked the strippers out. She paid the strippers. But they keep saying, when they're referring to Cassie's and Puffy's situation, they keep saying Combs arranged. No, she arranged. It's like she was obsessed with trying to please him to the point of no return. Like, I'm going to do whatever I can so I can be the best that he has in his life, because he had other women. So it's like she was trying to compete to be the best. So she wanted to do whatever Puffy asked, whatever his wildest fantasies are, to uh be that bitch, right? But she wasn't. She wasn't her, right? But she wanted to so bad. That's how it seems. She was a bit obsessed with Puffy. She was obsessed. And he was crazy. How about that? They just had a toxic, and you know what? You got obsession, and then you got power over control, and then you got drugs. That's like, oh my god, that's like poison. But it's still, again, it's not a federal crime. They just had a very toxic relationship. Toxic. Hey, what's up? All right, let's see what's going on now. All right, they are on break right now. So the jurors are taking a break. Let's see what happened right before that. Okay. Now, pay attention to this. Out of all these people, KK, the chief of staff for Puffy, she did not testify. Now, when Puffy is home and out of all this stuff, whoever KK is, his chief of staff, let's see, Christina Coram, that's somebody that he would need to give her a big raise and keep her by his side, because that's a ride or die. That's the kind of people you want on your team. I don't care if you're doing wrong or right, whatever. You want people like that on your team, because she's standing by her guy. And I'm not saying anything is going on between them. I'm just saying, like, you know, chief of staff, she's looking out for Puffy because she hadn't been on the stand. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think somebody said that they did try and get her to testify, but she refused to testify against Puffy. So yeah, those are the people that you want on your team. You don't want the Woodies. You don't want the Woodies, Lil Woodies. You don't want all these folks that's testified against Puffy. I mean, you don't want these people. As soon as someone with a badge come and they're like, what do you need me to do? Whatever you what do you need me to do? What you want me to say? What you want me to do? I'll tell you details. You know, you don't want weak-minded people on your team, because remember, now he is innocent until proven guilty. And the way that they're trying to prove his guilt is by putting you on the stand to say whatever. Yeah, so come on, don't do that. Yeah. Now, on another note, on a much lighter note, since they're on break, let's take our break. But Kevin Durant. Okay, so is anybody into basketball here? This is just, we're just taking a break from the Puffy thing, but Kevin Durant is supposed to be, they're saying that he might be traded. Kevin Durant is my favorite. He's one of my, as people in the NBA right now, Kevin Durant is my favorite basketball player in the NBA. So when I saw that, I was like, okay. I'm gonna tell you who I did not like Kevin Durant with, because that's my boy. I did not like him with was it the who was it? Is he with them now? Who's the what's the team out there? What's the team, y'all? Steph Curry. What's his team? Let me see. Yeah, I mean, now they're more humble now, Steph Curry. But back when Kevin first went on their team, I didn't want him on their team because he just didn't mesh. Kevin Durant is such a team player. He just didn't mesh with them at the time. They were just too immature for him. But yeah, Kevin Durant is my favorite player, but he's about to be traded again. Shoot, Kevin is probably like, you know what? I did my thing. He probably does not care at this point. So yeah, that's what's going on. Kevin is going to be traded. So since they've taken a break, I'm trying to get some information from people. This guy's a trip. All right. But yeah, this has been hard trying to follow a trial that's not being televised. It is like the worst thing, following a trial that's not being televised, because people, you're just relying on people disseminating information to the public, and by the time it gets to us, we don't know what, their persuasive words are opinionated. We don't want opinions, we want the facts, and the only way to know the facts is if we were in the courtroom. That's what I feel. But yeah, what do y'all think about what I was saying earlier about all these grown adults, these consensual grown adults making these choices that they're now regretting, doing everything and everything that Puffy asked. Anything, extra things, what do you do? Hey, I know how to do this. And by the way, um allegedly Cassie was doing drugs before she got with Kobe, Lord. Got with Puffy. So don't try to put Puffy turned her out. It sounds like she turned him out, to be quite honest. She was competing for his love because she was jealous of Kim Porter. She was jealous of her looks. Kim was an actual model that had done work. Cassie went into the entertainment industry as a model. She wanted to do modeling. She was not. She was too short to be a model, as we know. I'm not trying to down her, but it just makes me mad how this was flipped. So she talked about Kim's skin complexion being darker, which we all know Kim was beautiful. Kim Porter was beautiful. And then she talked about Kim Porter being her age. And at her age, she looked better than you. How about that? You know what? What if, now I'm just speculating because we're on break and we're just talking. What if she had something to do with Kim Porter's death? She was the one that was obsessed and jealous. Jealous to the point that she didn't want Puffy to talk to other women. Talk to other women. Puff Daddy. Can you imagine being with a man of his caliber who's a superstar, like of his status, and you don't want him to talk to other women? Like, you are delusional. You have chosen the wrong person to be in a relationship with. That's just not going to happen. And yeah, like I said, everybody's just giving their opinion, but I really prefer to base it off of facts. Or we just all are just opinionate. We have our opinions, and it's up to the juror. It's up to the jury. If you take everybody who has an opinion about the Puffy trial, like, and listen to everybody's opinion, like, we all have different opinions, and it seems like people, you've got these people who's walked this type of life, and they're like, what's the big deal? What? Okay, he hired some male escorts, him and his girl, they had some threesomes, what? He told her what to do. He was older. He took care of his women, and he wanted them to, be at his beck and call. So some look at it like that. And then you got some that's like, oh, that's a disgrace. How could you dare think that you can tell a woman what to do? Oh, well, you got some that are looking at it like that. Puffy needs to be under the prison. And then you got some that just don't care. You know what I'm saying? And I guess you got, I guess you got some that's like, that maybe just fans of Puffy, and they're like just wanting him to be innocent just because they're a fan of his, maybe. So everybody's just in it, interested in it for different reasons, I guess. I don't know. I know that it's just funny though if you look at it. And you know what? It's really juicy. We don't have, honestly, most of us don't have any ties to this whatsoever. And it's not going to matter. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter. But this is a member of our hip hop industry. I'm tired of like our hip hop legends. And yes, I'm calling Puffy a legend. He goes down in history for what he's accomplished. But I'm tired of our hip hop big timers, big ballers, like going down. He's crossed the threshold. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you have the people like, for example, like KRS-One. KRS-One, I think, was the first hip hop artist, rapper to cross over into the educational world because he was very smart, right? So he had so much knowledge, and I think he speaks in, I think, college classes, So he's the first rapper to do that. So he goes down in history for what he's accomplished. And so, I'm just tired of our the hip hop industry being attacked. So I'm a little more passionate about it, my thoughts and feelings about it. And, being in Atlanta, people kind of disagree some, but being in a place where it's like the stripper industry, the stripper capital, I'm going to say, certain things you just find normal. Like hiring strippers to come to the private part. That's just normal. Super Bowl parties, halftime. Yeah, I mean, I bet if you take 100 people, take 100 people who was born between 1980 to 1990 and ask them, have they ever heard of folks hiring a stripper to be in a private party? It's actually, to a lot of people, that is actually quite normal. So I just can't imagine that their closing is this long. Like a whole day of just basically going back over all this testimony. All right, so they're back from break. Okay. Yeah, so the main thing, though, that I wanted to go over with starting this second live was just to clarify that statement that I said earlier about the charges, because that's important. I didn't want, we want to make sure that we know what we're talking about. As good as we can. As good as we can. All right, let's see. But yeah, at some point, your choices in life as an adult, you have to be accountable for your own choices. Really, you can't go back suing people and, because you don't like how your life has gone for the last 10 years. You just can't do that. That's just part of life. That's just part of life. And shoot, I bet Puffy is like, dang, why did I settle out of court for that 20 million, giving it to Cassie? If he ended up in the darn trial the next year, he should have just said, okay, let's go to court. Take me to court. Let's go. Because all these personal things came out anyway, and he paid her $20 million. Shouldn't she have to give that money back? And yes, I did say that. I know women are probably like, oh, she makes me sick. I can't believe she said that. As much as Cassie endured. That's what women are saying. But I just, yeah. Mm-mm. You have to be accountable for your decisions as a consensual adult. You cannot blame another adult for your bad choices. I cannot wait until tomorrow when the um when the defense gives their closing. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be so hyped. Oh, I can't wait. You know what? I wonder if they listed who's gonna give the closing remarks tomorrow for the defense. I love Brian Still is my favorite attorney on that team, but like I was saying earlier, Brian Still does not speak with enough passion to me to give closing arguments. So I haven't heard other than the black female from that was that represented one of the YSL members that's up there. I think it's Nicole something. I've heard her speak a little bit, but I don't think is she good enough to give the closing argument. So like it may be, who's that lady? The one that whose father is he was in the courtroom at the first week of the trial, but he's like the number one entertainment lawyer. Um what's this guy's name? What's her name? Let's see. It's his daughter. She's on Puffy's team. She might be able to do it, but I hope it's a female. That's what I think. That would be the smart thing. Because when you hear certain things coming from a female themselves, then it makes you think twice. You know what I'm saying? With these types of charges. That's my opinion. I think that would be the smartest thing to do. So the prosecution has about an hour left of their spiel. And then these things happened so long ago, these encounters. Even though Puffy, now that was part, he made this part of his lifestyle, it seems like. But his personal, wants and urges and stuff, he made this part, that was part of his lifestyle. But these things that people have brought up in the courtroom from 2009, how do you remember so many details about that stuff? God, dog it. That is weird. That is strange. Yeah, we all have our opinions. We all have our opinions, and the thing that we have to consider, even though we have different opinions about this Puffy trial, we have to consider the facts. That's number one. We have to consider the facts, and we have to really listen to these people that testified. These were all adults that have testified. These were we didn't hear we these were adults, and especially the people that were involved in these freak offs, hotel nights, whatever you want to call it. They were all consensual. And I'm saying, to the point of, well, I wanted to stop. That's not somebody forcing you, saying, I wanted to stop, but I loved him so much. I just wanted to do that's not him forcing you because you wanted to please somebody, and you'll do whatever somebody wants you to do to please them. That's not somebody forcing you to do anything. That's your choice. That's not his fault that these people are his beck and call and will do anything that he says. You drop the penny on the floor and they pick it up, and they'll like lick his toes and lick his feet. Like, I'm like, what the world? People will do anything for Puffy. I'm surprised somebody wasn't sucking his toes. And they probably were. Like, they will do anything for this guy. This guy had so much power over people that people would do anything for him without him even having to ask. He didn't even ask sometimes for these things. This Cassie was doing arranging stuff. Like, I'm going to please my man because I want him and I want to make him happy. Crazy. That's just crazy. And Puffy just enjoyed it. He just sat back. Woo. Mm-mm. And I guess that's, if you think about it, a lot of entertainers, or how many entertainers date people who are not in the industry just to probably meet people who will do anything and everything they want them to do because of who you are. Like starstruck people, or people who want to be in the entertainment industry, people who you can influence to, do anything you want. Because people who are on your the equal caliber as you can't, they're not going to be starstruck by you. They're going to be looking at you as an equal. It's like he probably, because he wanted to feel powerful, because if you, like I said early on, if you go back to the beginning and look at Puffy, right? Puffy looked like a square. Puffy looked like he had a horse mouth. He looked like one of those kids that sucked his thumb growing up. He looked like a square. He really did. He probably was, Oh my goodness. He doesn't look like, you know, so, yeah. See, they keep saying this is the prosecution. They keep saying 1 minute ago, this was work. This is what she said. Combs forced Ventura and Jane into days long sex acts, prosecutor says. So that's their thing. That's their message that they're trying to get to the jury. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic is now addressing forced labor as an element of the racketeering conspiracy charge. The prosecutor said the jury heard evidence of forced labor as to Cassie Ventura, Jane, and Mia and Capricorn Clark. Sean Diddy Combs forced Ventura and Jane into grueling days long sexual encounters without sleep, qualifies as forced labor. Even though they were consensual adults and they most of the time picked these dudes out, paid them, gave them instructions, but they were forced. Okay. Combs forced them both to have sex with multiple men multiple times over multiple days. They got sores, they got sick, and they got infections. That was quoted by Slavic just now. They got sores, they got sick, and they got infections. Now, as an adult, if you have multiple sex partners, if you sleep with multiple people, you know that you are at risk of getting sores, getting sick, and infections. It's nasty. So if these women did this, they put themselves at risk of these things. Again, it sounds like this is some sort of domestic violence trial. It does not sound like something from a federal standpoint with all these other charges. Mm-mm-mm. So that's their thing. They just want to, the prosecution is just wanting to make sure that their point is put out there that Cassie was not, this was not something pleasurable for her. This was something that she was forced to do. That's what they're trying to portray. So it sounds like the prosecution is basically saying, the same thing over and over, which is what their assistants. The only person that had something different to say to bring to the stand was Paul, the so-called drug mule. He was the only one that had something different. Now, when he took the stand, that was, to me, I was thinking, okay, that guy is bringing the most damning piece to the Puffy trial. As far as being against Puffy, that guy's testimony was mattered the most, because of his stuff wasn't about him being involved in a personal relationship. This was things that he said that he did, as far as going to get the drugs and all the stuff that he claims that he did. So, but all this other stuff that they focused on, the prosecution, they focused on the wrong stuff to me. I mean, if I was the prosecution, I would have taken the Paul information as far as the federal charges. I would have taken the Paul testimony, and I would have went with that. That would have been he would have opened up the trial, not Cassie Ventura, not, that's just, because see, Cassie is one thing, but then you had Mia, then you had Jane, then you had this, then you had all these women saying the same thing, basically. So it really, as far as the jurors, no, I would have highlighted Paul. I would have highlighted Paul. That's what I would have highlighted if I was the prosecution. So, and then look what Brian Steele did the other day when Paul was testifying, and Brian cross-examined him. He's, the prosecution asked him all these things about, oh, what was he doing? What did you do? And then Brian Steele got up there. I think he asked like 3 questions. And one of the questions were, would you ever work for a criminal? He said no. He said, do you have like a personal liking? Something, I can't remember the exact, but he pretty much dropped the mic. For the questions that Brian Steele asked were like, okay, so his thing was, he was showing, okay, how Paul, as far as how Paul feels. I don't work for a criminal. That means he didn't look at Puffy as a criminal. And he liked Puffy as a person. If you're forced to do something and you just hate the lifestyle, then you're not gonna like the person. So that's what Brian Steele wanted to bring out. So all that stuff that the Paul guy testified to, Brian Steele just came back and bam, with 3 questions, or 2 or 3 questions. Bam. That's what he did. He dropped the mic. I love that. I love because everybody else was like, oh, what a sorry defense. How can he just ask? You just asked, are you crazy? I heard so many things, but I'm like, you know what? He asked the most important questions. Those few questions. That's all he needed to ask. And to me, a lot of people are like, oh, they're so stupid. How can they not bring anybody to the stand? You know, the defense. Well, to me, that lets me know that they feel really good about where the case is. These are big time attorneys. Okay, these are high price attorneys. So if they feel comfortable resting, then I'm good with resting. That's how I see it. So they're comfortable with where things stand, because they know the prosecution just sucked. They did a horrible job with this trial. And it's not, I don't think it's that the prosecution did a horrible job. I think it's just that they didn't have evidence. Just like Young Thug trial. Young Thug trial, the state of Georgia, Adrian Love, the darker skinned lady, and all the whole team, all the Fannie Willis's folks, it's not that they did a horrible job. They just didn't have evidence. They just didn't have the hardcore evidence. They had to make up stuff. Just like, remember Hilton. That was her name, Hilton. Remember Hilton, for those of you who know what I'm talking about. Hilton got up there one day and she said, there was a plethora of, no, not plethora. She said there was, what did she say? She used a term to make it seem like there was so many. Oh gosh, I hope that didn't interrupt my live. Okay, so she used a term that made it seem like there were so many bullet holes that ended up on this car or on this house or something. And turns out it was just one bullet. But she didn't say that. She made sure she made it seem like it was just a spray of bullets. You know what I'm saying? It was just one. So they had to like elaborate and lie about stuff. And see, we don't know if that's what's going on in the court because we're not there. We're not inside this courtroom. Anyway, okay, so that is that. I don't think that defense is going to start their closing today. I don't think so, as late as it is. And I know I wouldn't want, I just would want a fresh start tomorrow. Now tomorrow, I'm telling you, when the closings start, there, y'all don't want to miss it. So if trust me, y'all come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow because we are gonna be in here. We're gonna be hyped because when the closing starts, their closing, that's it. Shoot, yeah. Because if I feel the way I'm feeling, I don't work for Puffy. Puffy's not paying me a dime. And if I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, then I know that his team has got to be feeling triple what I'm feeling. So they're going to bring it tomorrow. They're going to bring it. So y'all be sure to tune in tomorrow. Be sure to tune in tomorrow because it's going to be so nice. It's going to be so nice hearing the closing. Their closing. That's going to be so nice. I cannot wait. Yep, and they are still... What's up, HM3? But yeah, that Cassius Smith guy, whew, man, that man's testimony was crazy. Not testimony, excuse me. That he didn't testify. It was his interview. The stuff that he said in his interview was crazy. About other people, not Puffy. The stuff he said about ASAP Rocky, that was crazy. But can y'all imagine how many beards there are in this, like in the inner, if it's a lot of beards, we already know of several beards, you know, in our, well, some of, see, that's what I'm saying. Some of us, we haven't lived the same life. So it's like some of y'all don't even know what I'm talking about when I say beards. I'm talking about women who are knowingly married to these gay, or with a gay guy, and they're just being used as just a front. That's a beard. So it's a lot of beards in this world. When you live in an area like Atlanta, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that. But in the entertainment world, in my opinion, I think Tyler Perry's wife is one. In my opinion, and several. So it's a lot of them. God, it's a lot of them. A lot of them. Like honestly, allegedly, but Portia's first husband, that was, you know, that played for the Steelers, you know, that stuff came out about him. He was caught in the park with, you know, that situation. So like I know she was a beard. That came out during the show. But there are a lot of people that are beards. And so, and the reason I'm bringing that up, I don't know if y'all know Cassius Smith, he said that about ASAP Rocky. He said that Rihanna knows, you know, that he is gay. Allegedly. That's all alleged. I don't know. I'm just repeating information that I've heard other people say. All right, so yeah. So HM3, everybody who's come in, let me see here. Viral, Apple, Jacob, Paresh, it was Missy Richardson, Matthew B, Zuckerberg, and it was one more, I think Shakita. I don't see your name, but it was Shakita. Yeah, Shakita. So y'all be sure to tune in tomorrow. I'm telling you, it's going to be hype. This is going to be closing tomorrow. I don't think they're going to start today. It's already 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah. But thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and get off and end the live. I wanted to clarify what I said earlier about those charges. And we'll see what's going to happen tomorrow. We'll see. So be sure to tune in tomorrow. I will be back. I am April Showers, and I am out for the day. Peace.